I made some really difficult decisions recently. Welcome back. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. Today is really going to be a heart-to-heart message. It's really just going to be me brain dumping on everything that I've been thinking about lately. And the one thing that I want you to come out of with all of this is that holding on to something that isn't meant to be is not going to help you. I've held on to things that are not meant to be so many times in my life, right? So I'm not just talking about this specific decision that I had to make recently. I'm talking about my entire life, the things that I have learned and the times that I have tried to hold on to something that was not meant to be. And why is it that we do this? Why do we hold on to something that we know isn't right for us, isn't good for us? It's time to move on from. And I think there's multiple reasons why we do it. One, we're afraid of change. Change is terrifying. It's scary. It's messy. It feels uncomfortable. Of course, we're going to do our best to avoid that. But also, we like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Even if you don't necessarily think you do, I'm guessing there's a part of you that does. If you are holding on to something that isn't meant to be, you're kind of trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, whether it's an event, a situation, or a person. And I tend to want to know that I did everything I possibly could before leaving a situation, before exiting, before saying, no, this is not for me. I like to overthink. I really think a lot. And if I leave a situation, I guess I don't really know. I feel like if I leave a situation without knowing for sure that I did everything I possibly could, then I might regret that. Now, I don't know if that's true because I've never actually done that. I'm not gonna lie. I have always completely beat myself up trying to give everything that I have. And then when I leave, I have never once regretted it. And I think that it would be the same way if I left earlier. But there's a part of me that doesn't trust myself to do that. It doesn't trust that I'm going to be okay and that I'm not going to regret it. And my point here is that it is okay to try. It is okay to do everything you possibly can, but be careful. Take care of yourself, right? We want to think that the situation will change, that we can fix the situation, that we can come up with solutions, that that person is capable of being different, that that person is capable of improving, that that thing can change. We love the idea of something, the idea of how something can be, the idea of something that we have created in our mind, that we forget what is actually the reality in front of us. And a lot of this can be situations or people. I used to joke in high school that I'm the type of person that's happy no matter if I have people in my life or not. And obviously that's not true, right? We all need people in our lives. We all need interaction. We all need connections. But in a way, it was actually kind of true. Because even though you always need some sort of connection in your life, I also knew that it was okay to let go. And for me, I needed to know that I did everything I could before I let go. But once I let go, I've never once regretted it in any way, shape, or form. Never. And this is a very me thing, right? That's not going to happen for everyone. But I think that I learned somewhere along the way that I have two relationships. I have the relationship with myself, and I have the relationship with all the people around me. And if I'm having a difficulty in a relationship around me, then you have two options. You put your focus on that relationship to try to fix it, or you let go and you put your focus on your relationship with yourself. And it's important to try and put your energy on that relationship to try to fix it with the other person, with the other thing. But when you are putting so much energy towards that you are neglecting to take care of the relationship with yourself, that's when you lose yourself. That's when you start to fall. That's when you start to feel completely lost. And somewhere along the way, I realized that I care about my relationship with myself more. I value that more. So if my relationship with myself is getting hurt because of another relationship, I'm going to let go of that. You are the number one relationship in your life. You are the number one thing that you should be taking care of. And if something or someone causes you to not be able to take care of yourself anymore, and I'm not saying that it's just that, right? One person cannot necessarily make you not take care of yourself, right? Like no one can make you do it. But if you were at a point in a relationship or a situation where the only way to keep it afloat feels like you have to be putting so much energy into that and you are draining yourself out and you don't have enough energy to put it on yourself, that's when you need to let go. That's when it is time to let go. And you will cry and you will hurt and it will feel so bad. I feel like I have gone through so many more heartbreaks in my life than I have been in relationships, because disconnecting from situations, from people, from groups, that's like heartbreak. It hurts so bad, but that doesn't mean that you made the wrong decision. You need to take care of yourself. And that is what I've been learning recently. That is what I've known for so long. But the thing that I heard recently, or I guess that I discovered recently, that completely changed it for me in this one decision I've had to make, was that I like to think that there's a solution. I like to give the benefit of the doubt. I like to try and come up with a solution, to talk things through, to work with people. But you can't control what other people do. And if someone is not willing to do that, or if a situation is not giving you that, then instead of processing it or healing from it or just looking at it in a way of, I wish so-and-so did this, or I wish the situation was like this, or if only I could just do this and it would fix it. Instead of looking at it like that, you need to accept it for what it is. And that is what completely changed it for me. I was in so much pain. I could not sleep for weeks. I was anxious, like completely anxious for weeks, if not months. So stressed out about this thing. I had already made my decision. I already knew what I was going to do. I already was setting boundaries. I didn't do anything different except for sit down and realize that I had been processing this by thinking, there has to be a solution. I don't know what else I can do to fix it. I don't know what else I can do to make things the way they should be, to not hurt anyone by my decisions, I don't know what else I can do. If only this would happen. If only I could do this. If only this, right? But in this case, it was a thing that I couldn't make that decision myself. I had to work with people, work with a situation, and that was not possible. That was not happening. And I felt like I needed to control, and I felt like I needed to make it happen. And the moment that I switched my mindset from, I am so mad that it's not happening the way I wanted it to, I'm so mad that that it's come to this, that I have to let go, that I'm in so much pain, because if only they had listened, if only this had happened, if only I had made a different decision years ago, if only, all of these different things. I was living in the what ifs. I was living in the fake reality I was building for myself. And instead I had to sit myself down and I had to think, wait a second, but this is my reality. If only that, if only this, no, none of that is real. What's real is what's happening right now. And I need to sit down and I need to bring myself back to reality and see that that's the truth. And I cried so much that day, you guys. I cried so much. Because that realization was what made everything feel real. And I want to emphasize the fact here, this was not an easy decision. It was not a light decision to be made. It has been honestly years of figuring out what to do. And I felt so many emotions that day. But the one emotion I didn't feel, two emotions I didn't feel, were anxiety and guilt. I didn't feel guilty anymore. I didn't feel responsible anymore. I mean, I didn't need to feel guilty. I knew that it was not a situation where I should be feeling guilty, but I had felt really guilty the entire time. I just felt like I was in the middle of a situation that I should just be able to solve, and I couldn't. And I realized, when I really realized what reality was, that guilt, it went away. The anxiety that I had been feeling, it went away. And I had a lot of sadness and a lot of grieving, and I'm still grieving. But I can tell the way that it felt like this weight was lifted off my shoulders completely changed it. When you make a decision like this, when you look at reality at what it is, and when you see that no, you can't, all the what ifs, they just hurt you. When you see that, and when you change your mindset, it does not mean that all of a sudden it's all going to go away. In this case, for me, I think I had processed everything except for that. So finally realizing it, I had a lot of emotions, but luckily the anxiety surrounding it and just that feeling sick kind of went away. But I had a lot of pain still, and your process is going to be different. No one's process is the same. But I think that was, and has been, and still is, something that I have always struggled with, is the idea of others' perceptions of me. And when I have some really core values that are not being reflected back to me, or if those core values are being disrespected, right? It almost feels like an ethical, moral issue for me, because it's I want to keep trying. I want to know that I did everything I possibly can, but this is going against my core values at this point. So what in the world do I do? And it's that kind of thing where I end up just feeling so it is so hard for me to accept that is the reality. Because when it comes to something like core values, you really, those are your truths. Those are your, ultimate truths. And when you see that that's not an ultimate truth for someone else or another situation, that isn't being acted out, it can be incredibly hard to wrap your mind around. and incredibly hard to accept that that's not a core value for someone else, right? And that right there is what has always been the biggest struggle for me. Because when I am leaving a situation because one of my core values, my ultimate beliefs in life, is no longer being respected, it is so incredibly hard for me to process. And the only time that I've actually felt like it might have been processed without just going through every single emotion, but like the only time that I ever felt like this last week or two, I just felt like I had this aha moment. I have done years of situations where these things have happened. And last week or 2 weeks ago, I don't know when, it just felt like I had this aha moment where I realized all this time where I've had issues with this, where I've been struggling with this, and it's not just one situation, but so many different situations together, I don't think I've been able to just sit down and realize this is reality, to just accept it, to just sit down and say, okay, let me think as logically as I can here. What is happening? How do I feel? What am I going to do about it? That's the reality. I'm stepping away because that's what I need to do. No whats, no what ifs, no buts, no thinking it over, ruminating. It is what it is. And I'm going to move on now. It's a hard one. It's a hard one, you guys. But this is my little heart to heart, and I hope that my ramble here is able to make something make sense in your head. If there's something that you've been really just struggling with, I hope that hearing someone else struggle too can remind you that you're not alone. And maybe hearing my struggle and my thought process can help you in your own. I'll see you next time.